Very nice.
I thought that was going to go out of the camera for a second. Just be like...
Nope. And I sync it via the sound now, so I really don't need the... Actually, technically, I could do it by this, and this would probably be better. So I'm going to do it this way. Heck yeah.
Got that McDonald's.
Okay, so we got. Let's think of what would be a fun intro.
Love.
Is that what it says?
It says love.
It does. You're right. Hello, everybody. I've got a special guest today. Why don't we bring him in? Wow. What a great guest we have today.
Bye.
We have Fluffy too. Where did you go, sir? Come back. Welcome to the show. Would you like to introduce yourself to all the audience?
I am Fluffy2840, the blue sock.
Fluffy2840 is joining us today for a special occasion.
Why am I about to hit you?
What is this occasion, Fluffy?
We are going to talk about kind of our personal lives a little bit.
Yes, our personal lives as brothers.
Yes!
Let's do it. Segway!
My back is starting to itch from heat. I don't understand my body anymore. I don't even know where to put the sock. Whee!
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Normal selves now.
Yeah.
And this is Fluffy's normal body now.
Yes.
So today we're doing something a little bit different. I haven't really uploaded a YouTube video in a pretty long time. We've been doing Twitch here and there more often, but today we're going to do a YouTube video with Fluffy2840, and we're going to talk about our lives.
We both need a haircut.
We do, honestly. Fluffy sent me a video a while back in which it was two other YouTubers, and they were talking about how it was an older brother and a younger sister, how their lives differed from the older brother being an only child, and then eventually once the sister came along, and then what the sister's was life once the older brother left. And since that was kind of the situation that Isaac and I went through growing up, we thought that we would sit down and we would talk about it too.
Yeah. Because in that video, the older brother is like 30 years old, while the sister is 9. So there's a big difference.
So did you say he was 30?
I don't know what his actual age is, but he looked like that.
Look.
I mean, I don't think he's in college anymore.
If you think he looked like he was 30, then I look like I'm 40. Because he looks younger than I did.
This gives you 10 years.
Gives me 10 inches is what it gives me. Okay, so Fluffy, you already brought up the first question to me before we started. Why don't you bring up that question again, and then I'll go ahead and answer it, and that'll get us started. Okay,
so the question that I asked him before this video, which obviously I'm going to ask again, is this man was born in 1996. I always say 8. I don't know why. 1998, 1996. This man was born in 1996, and I wanted to ask him how it was like being born in the last couple years of the 19th century. I think that's what century it is.
Yeah.
The 19th
20th
century. The 19th... Okay, 20th.
Yeah. It's, the centuries are up one than what they sound like. So I read something a while back in which it said, like, from 1998 onward, those people don't count in, like, the 90s generation. So I technically count, yet I don't technically count. Because all the people I grew up around, if you were older than me, you were a 90s kid. So, like, our cousins, Justin, TC, people their age and older, they're part of the 90s generation, where I'm not because I was still much younger than they were. The problem is anybody born past, like, 1998, 2000s, they're not considered 90s, but they're considered the new generation, like the 2000 kids that, like, you are.
Yeah.
So I don't really fit. I fit in this very weird, like, 1996 to 1998 couple years that no one really considers a generation for some reason. So I don't really have, like, I'm not a millennial, I don't feel. I'm not a 90s kid. I don't really know what I am when it comes to, like, generations. Mm-hmm. And that's weird just because everybody around me seems to have like their own generation. They seem to be like, oh, this is part of our generation, so this is who we are. Where I feel like I don't really have that. So that's the first difference. Second difference of me growing up as a normal kid is
normal.
Yeah, good point. Okay, growing up as a kid, not a normal kid in any stretch of the imagination, is, let's see. I don't remember much of like my time before we moved to North Carolina, so I won't really talk about that. Because we moved down here to North Carolina when I was only a couple months old, like 6 months.
Because he was born in Maryland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we lived in a house up there for a while. I remember being up at that house, and I remember like helping my parents clean, even though all I was doing was running around and playing. I remember being up there and them cleaning.
I made the mess and then helped clean it up.
I didn't make the mess. No, it was that house. We had moved out of that house already, so Mom and Dad were renting it to other people, and so we would go up and we would clean that house.
That's where the renting stuff started.
Yeah, it started long before this beach house. So then I grew up in Northwoods, which is the neighborhood that one of my best friends' parents still live in. And while I lived there, I remember a good amount of the memories that happened there. I remember birthday parties. I remember like the person who lived behind us. I remember Dylan and Sydney. Honestly, most of the stuff that happened there, I remember it as something that happened, but it feels like it was another life. Like it was so long ago that it doesn't really, I feel like, affect me anymore. And then up until 6 years old, I was an only child, which is when we moved here and Mom was pregnant with you. So that's when you came around.
Yep, 2003.
And because I only lived 6 years as a normal child, there wasn't really much time that I was like an only child. Did I say normal again? I said normal again. I didn't mean normal, but there wasn't much time that I was an only child. So I don't remember really a difference. I don't remember feeling like I was an only child, because by the time I became like self-aware, then you were in the picture, and we were doing more stuff with you. Yeah, you talking about? He's pointing to. I have this is a picture of me and Isaac when Isaac was born. I was probably 7 years old in that picture. But yeah, that was me. That was me before you were born.
Yeah, and I remember in like, what was it, 4th, 5th grade, we did this assignment on 9/11 where we would have to ask our parents what were they doing at 9/11 because we were most likely not born then. Mm-hmm. And so I asked my mom and dad what they were doing during 9/11, and the way Mom described it was that you were watching kids shows on the TV because you were little, and someone called her crying and was like, turn on the news, so she had to get you out, turn on the bad news, and watch 9/11.
Yeah, and I don't remember, like, that's another thing where all the 90s kids that are older than I am remember 9/11. I don't remember 9/11 at all. I remember the stories of my mom telling me what she was doing during 9/11, but I don't remember any of it. I remember she was planning my birthday, but that's, like, I didn't know 9/11 really happened until, like, years later when it was taught in school.
School, yeah.
And I was like, oh, that happened while I was alive. And so I grew up knowing about 9/11, but I don't remember it. So my question for you, Fluffy.
Here we go.
Would be, so me growing up without a sibling, and then you growing up with a sibling. What are your thoughts of me now that you're older and you can understand what your childhood was like?
So for me, for the longest time, I was young, so I didn't count the years. I didn't really count how long it was. But for the longest time, this man was my evil brother. That was his nickname. That was his nickname.
I would brother you.
Brother, yeah, I said that when I was little. He would brother me. I can't reach it. All of my sayings back then. But yeah, I would always call this guy my evil brother because the way I would describe it is every time I asked him to do something, he wouldn't even do it, and he'd just make a weird face at me and walk away. And I'm just like, this man is mean.
I mean, I was mean in a lot of situations, but then again, it was mainly because, and this is something I talked to Lindsay about, is our family is very independent, and so we don't really do stuff together. You know how, like, Dad's in his office, Mom's on the computer or watching TV, you're up in your room, and then when I come home, I'm up here. So we're all very independent, and so we don't really... We mix well together, but we only mix well together for a certain period of time, and then after that, we sort of go our separate ways. I feel like we're ourselves when we're alone. where other people are themselves when they're with people, where we're better when we're alone, and then we kind of meet up together.
Yeah, I always talked with my friends that used to be our neighbors that direction. I always talked with them about how we literally come home and our parents are like, you can watch TV, you can go on the computer, you can go outside, do whatever you want. And those guys, when they come home, their parents are like, do your chores.
Yeah. And that was the same for me in school. So another question I have for you is, what do you think about school?
I like school. I mean, it's in the middle for me because I hate waking up early to go to school, but school's not that bad. And I actually, probably a couple months ago, I looked up what was the whole point of school starting early. And it was basically, the whole point of school starting early was to get kids ready to wake up early for work.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I agreed with that. But yeah, going back to your question, I mean, I hate waking up early for school and having to wake up at 7 a.m. in my case. But I know some of you guys are like, I wake up at 6 a.m. What are you talking about? Yeah. But I mean, yeah, school's not that bad for me, and I haven't gotten bullied. Sorry if you have gotten bullied, but I haven't gotten bullied, and school's been really good for me, and I've made a lot of good friends.
Oh, good. That was the same for me in high school, and with the
Christian part, the Gaston.
Well,
Christian
except for the Christian high school, yeah. But no, I like school. I didn't like waking up early either. I liked once I woke up because school was where all my friends were, and I liked school up until senior year. One thing that my parents actually told me recently was, as much as I say that I didn't own the school, it's very obvious from the stories that I tell about my high school. Which, if you've watched the YouTube channel for a while, I've told some of those stories to you guys before. I did a lot of, not wild things in high school, but I sort of walked around like I owned the place because in the grand scheme of things, I did own a good amount of my high school.
Every teacher knew you.
Every teacher knew me. The big story was that I skipped an entire day of school to go on a Spanish field trip, and I wasn't part of the Spanish class. I just went because I wanted to go, and I knew that the teacher knew me, I knew everybody in the class knew me, and no one would stop me. And so I did it anyway. And so it was stuff like that.
And I don't know if you really went into detail on this when you said it a couple days ago, but I want you to go into more detail and tell the audience that haven't heard about it about your first and only detention.
My first and only... Well, no, that's not my first and only detention. I had a detention before the one that I know you're talking about. But the one Isaac's talking about is, in high school, I had never gotten a detention. I got one in middle school. But in high school, I never received an after-school detention. So my director at the time was like, everybody loves you at this school. You can't get in trouble. And so I bet him. I was like, yes, I can. I guarantee you I can get an after-school detention. So I came to school one day, and it took half of the week, which was insane. But that one day I decided, you know what? I'm just going to keep my phone out, which wasn't allowed, all day. And so I literally walked around from class to class with my phone out, and I would just sit in class and look at my phone, which was a big deal in our school because although a lot of public schools that I knew at the time didn't allow phones, but the students could still use them without getting in trouble. Our school, it was like if you saw the person's phone, then you were in trouble. So the fact that I was using a phone all day long and no one got me in trouble until half the day was over was insane. And it was the librarian who had never given an ASD before. So she apologized when she was giving me the detention. The person who has to sign off on it, of course, is the dean of students. And so my director went to the dean of students and was like, what have you done? Why did you give Noah an ASD? And so then he explained the whole bet to the dean of students. The dean of students was confused because he was like, what student would want an ASD? And then what I ended up doing is the after-school detentions in our school, you would go in and for an hour you would write down part of the parent-teacher code or whatever it would be. So what I did was I brought in different color pens and I wrote secret notes in the paragraph. So I would change certain letters to be certain colors, and those colors would read out different messages like I love you, dean of students, and stuff like that. And so that's what I did with my detention.
Yeah, with my school, it's we don't immediately go to detention or the principal's office if someone sees us with a phone, but for my school, if they see you with a phone, they're just like, put your phone up, and that's it. You put your phone up and that's it. And not only that, but if they see your phone out, or if you have headphones in while you're walking in the hall, they tell you to take it out.
Yeah, that was the same for us too. But we didn't have them in the first place because we were too scared to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have another question for you.
Okay.
So the big question, so you asked me what I was like when you weren't born yet. But the cool part is I got 6 years before you were born. And then we lived together until I moved out, where now it's been almost 4 years since I've moved out. So how have the last 4 years been for you living in this house as the only child now? Because I'm technically far away.
Yeah, and I've always thought about that. How I would I would always tell my parents, I was like, the office that I have now has this big opening, so every time I want to make a video, parents are talking, and I was like, if I make a video, the mic's gonna pick up the parents. Mm-hmm. So I would always say, I'd be like, once Noah gets a wife or whatever and moves out of this house, I'm taking his room because it has closed walls, as you can tell. You can close the door, and I could just make this into my office. But then the parents were like, our parents were like, don't make Noah sleep in the guest room. This is his room. Don't make him go to the guest room. So I didn't do that. But I mean, it's been a big change ever since you went to college, because I would always like halfway walk to your room and be like, oh shoot, he's at college, and get my phone and try to text you. Especially with me not knowing when your rehearsals are. Because I would try to text you and you wouldn't answer forever, and then I'd wake up the next morning and you text me back at 11 p.m. I'd be like, oh, he was at rehearsals. But yeah, it's been a big change, but I'm getting used to it, especially since I've had three or 4 years to get used to it, and now I might have to get used to him not even being home at all, because he'll be a couple states away.
True. What would you say is the biggest bad thing and the biggest good thing about me being gone? Like, what's the thing that you enjoy about me being at college and being away, and what's the thing that, like, you miss?
The one thing that I would say I enjoy with you being away, I'm probably gonna get you're probably gonna get mad at me for this, even though I'm having trouble thinking about it. The one thing I would say I like when you are away is I can steal your hats.
That's it? That's the one thing you like, is that you can come back and you can take all my hats off my coat, right?
Well, I can take anything out of this room. That's a good point. I could use this room for my videos, like I did with my live stream very recently. Hopefully it was recent. I don't know when this video is coming out. But yeah, I can use this room for anything, is what I like about you being gone.
So you have an extra room.
Yeah, and that's the thing I like about it. The one thing I don't like about it, especially since me and you have restarted, well, you restarted the YouTube channel. The one thing that I don't like is that, going back to him having rehearsals, I would have a question about videoing or YouTube or editing, and I would text him and he wouldn't answer because he had rehearsals or he's hanging out with his girlfriend or whatever. And I wouldn't be able to walk to his room and ask him.
That's pretty good. So you like how you can take and borrow anything in this room. Yeah. But the thing you don't like is the fact that I'm not here to talk to if you need, like, something solved.
Yeah.
If you, like, have a problem.
Yeah. And he was a really nice guy. What I was going to with that was when he was in high school, middle school, and I was just a little kid. Every time he would make a video, he would either ask me if I want to go into it, or I would find a way to get in that video.
That's true. You talking about my old videos?
Yeah, the old high school videos. If you scroll down on this YouTube channel, on his YouTube channel, you can find them. But yeah, I would always find a way to be on his videos, or he would ask me. Because for one of the videos, the Bible battle videos, whichever one, SOTU, that's what it is.
Yeah, it was the SOTU 2.
Yeah, for that video, he asked me to be David, and he was Goliath for a little battle, and that was fun. And then there was another video which he kind of asked me, and then I kind of just got in, which was the SOTU video again, where I was punching you to death when you were preaching in the garage.
That was the same one.
Yeah.
Same video. Yeah. Okay, last question, and then this sums up the end of our video.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of more questions.
We're already almost at time. So my last question is a question that I like asking other people, so I wanted to ask you, but I'm going to share my story first. So I want to know, what's your earliest memory?
Earliest memory.
So what's the memory that's like the farthest back when you were the youngest?
That's so hard to do because I've watched so many videos of when I was younger that I'm just like, I remember this, even though I watched a video about it.
Yeah, try to think of something that's not in a video, something that only you know that is the earliest. And while you think about that, I'm going to tell my story of what my earliest memory is. So my earliest memory is back at the Northwoods house that I talked about, where one of my friend's parents still live. And we had, beside the side of our house, most houses have it. They look different depending on what kind of house and how old your house is. But it's the gas, like the natural gas pressure gauge that's outside the house. Ours used to be, it was like a pipe and it had a gauge on it and it was green. It was like this rusty, like old looking green color. And what I used to do was I would walk around the side of the house and I would go up to the little gauge on it that told you how much natural gas was being used. And I would I would tap on the natural gas gauge, even though it didn't do anything. I would tap on it and pretend like it was a bubblegum machine. And then there was a part of it that like came out and it was like a hose that came down. But it was closed. There was nothing like in it. But I would put my hand on it and I would like press the dials and then I would pretend that a gumball came out. And then I would like pop it in my mouth like that and then I would keep on walking. And there's no videos of that. Like no one knows about that. It's just something that I remember doing. And so that's why I know it's my earliest memory, or one of my earliest memories. And I probably would have been like maybe 4 or 5.
Find that house one day now or a couple years from now, you'll go back to that house and find it and be like, my gumball machine!
that would be a fun idea. Even record like a video of me like older, like clicking it, getting out a fake gumball.
Having to bend down.
Yeah, that would have been seeing how big it is, how stupid it looks. I don't even know if it's still there. I don't even know if they maybe changed it or updated it. I do know the house is still there.
Changed it? I was going to say changed it or tore down the house.
Oh, no, the house is still there. I go by it every once in a while.
I would say my oldest memory was, I don't know what age I was turning, but the Thomas birthday.
The Thomas birthday?
The train birthday.
Yeah.
Thomas birthday, train
What do you remember
birthday.
about it?
I remember there being a bunch of cardboard boxes around the house dressed up as trains, and I would always go in the Thomas train because Thomas was my favorite, and I had this whole train set up and stuff like that. But I just remember going into the Thomas. I think this is what I did. I'm not actually sure. I would like go in the Thomas thing and act like I was driving the train engine, even though I was staring at nothing moving. Because my head would be out of the box, and I would act like I'm driving, even though I'm looking at nothing moving.
Yeah, imagination. That's why I think we both play video games, is because we both have good imaginations, and video games help that. Is because video games are just another world that you can believe yourself into. Which is why I'm in theater and film and stuff like that anyway, and why you do film and stuff like you do.
That's going on my list of things I want to go to college for now, because I was thinking the first college degree that I wanted is meteorology, and then after that I was thinking, okay, maybe I want to be a news anchor too, and now after that I'm thinking, do I want to be a director of a film since I'm a little good at editing and directing?
Yeah, definitely can try to look into it. I mean, that's the cool part about college, is you can do so many different things. You can figure out what you actually like and what you thought you liked. Yeah. But
and a lot of people they go to college not even knowing what they want to do, and they just try something out and boom, they like it.
I know a lot of people who do that. Don't know about people who like it all of a sudden, but I know a lot of people who go to college and not knowing what they want to do, and eventually, hopefully, figure it out while they're there. But that's, I think, what high school is for, is to. Because I started
have some time to think about it.
Yeah, I started working when I was 15, and so working and trying to figure out what you like, what you want to do is really helpful.
I've been trying to start working, but video games are keeping me from working. I'm just like, I don't want to leave my computer.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And then you have people like our father, who went to college to study computers just because his friends did that too, and now he's working a full-time job with computers, working on computers all day and all night, and then we follow him and we're on computers all day.
That's true. Doing our own stuff. There's so much that can be done on the internet nowadays, that there's so many jobs that meet at the fact that you have to use a computer. But
I wonder how the internet was when you were younger. That's a random question that just popped in my mind.
That's a good one. I'll answer that one and then we'll end. So the internet for me, I still remember when I first used a computer. It was actually in this house, and it was my dad's laptop. I don't remember ever using a computer in the old house in Northwoods, though I do remember that my dad couldn't be on the computer while my mom was on the phone or using the microwave.
Wi-Fi. The starter of Wi-Fi.
Well, it wasn't Wi-Fi at the time. There was no internet. It was all you had to connect to it manually. But because the phone and the internet were on the same wire, you couldn't use the internet when you were using the phone. And then the reason that the microwave would run and it would cancel it out is the waves of, like, the microwave would mess with, like, the cables and the stuff that was needed for the internet.
And I think, like, you were probably 2 years old when Google came out, or something like that, because I know Google was made in the 1990s at some point, like 1998.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Google was already a thing
1998, 1999. But.
Oh, okay. Then, yeah, I would have been alive, but it wouldn't have been big by then. But no, I was behind when it came to the internet. I was behind when it came to pretty much anything because I didn't really have anything I was super invested in until later on but I used computers pretty much my entire time. So it's always been computers that I've been interested in, kind of a nerd about.
And now we're the ones helping our parents with tech stuff.
I know, which I think is funny, is my dad, who works on the computer all day, doesn't even know all things about computers.
Yeah, because the first time our mom grabbed an iPhone, we had to teach her how to use it.
But that makes me think of a bunch of other questions for another good time about your generation and technology and my generation and the start of technology.
Nothing.
Yeah, and not really having anything, and then you're growing up always having technology, and technology moving even faster than it did in my day.
Because Apple devices came out 2011, something like that.
That's true. Apple got really, really popular. I remember when the first iPod came out and how jealous I was that my friends had it.
And I have the first generation iPad that I barely use.
That's true. But we're going to end this here. If you guys liked this video, like the video, comment, tell us what you think, because if you guys really like it, then we'll make more of it.
And tell us about your life.
Oh, that's a good one, too. Yeah, ask us questions that you want to know. I was born in 1996. Isaac was born in 2002. 3. I was 1 year off.
I mean, you were.
I was closer than you were with my birthday.
Yeah, you were closer, and you were a month off from 2002 because January 2003.
That's true.
So you were a month off from 2002.
That's close. But we will see you guys in another episode, either on here or on Twitch. Thank you so much for watching, suffering with us, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Ta-ta.